what is natural selection, who is doing the selecting, and on what scales or timelines does natural selection operate?
So natural selection is best to think of as a competition. That in a population of anything, goldfish, snakes, butterflies, that some individuals have a combination of traits or maybe individual traits that enables them to do a little better, live a little longer, make more offspring, et cetera. And that what natural selection is the competition between the variants within a species. And when you think about that a little bit, compound that competition over many, many generations. And what happens is that those traits that best suit that creature for where it lives, those are reinforced, and traits that are at a disadvantage are eliminated. So there's two sides to the coin in natural selection, which is favoring things that are advantageous in terms of living and reproducing, and eliminating things that are disadvantageous. Right. And people often forget about that second side of natural selection, but it's really evident out there that things that put creatures at a disadvantage are eliminated from the population. So it's this process of favoring and eliminating that's going on.
One common misconception is that the organism seems to have, and I'm hesitant to use the word, seems to be the agent, because you obviously don't have a lot of control over the variations, but it seems to be the organism as the primary actor choosing these variations which are favorable and discarding the ones that are not favorable. But it's actually the predator that gets to decide for the organism.
Well, very often in a situation where something is prey, but of course not everything's prey. Think of a plant or whatever. I mean, I guess it's prey for plant eaters, et cetera. But yeah, there's no agency there on the part of the creature. Think of the creature only as the vessel. And this is the very hard. This is, and Darwin, who didn't know genetics at the time, right? So this is getting at the genetic basis of evolution, and that has to do with the genetic basis of these variations. But Darwin understood those variations very well. He and Wallace very clearly saw, by going out into the world and looking at wild living things, that there were subtle variations in any group of creatures that he looked at. Many, many decades later, we now understand those variations are generally genetically encoded, which means there's little subtle differences in the genes that those creatures carry. But those creatures have no say over the mutations that arise or what variations they're carrying. They're merely the vessels, and they're in competition with others of their own kind and with other kinds for survival. And so this natural selection process it's a marathon that creatures are running, and their performance is being measured against each other essentially all the time.
What timelines are we operating on?
Can be very, very short. Can be over just a couple generations. It's measurable. But when if you're going to see a population change in a major way, let's take something like one of my favorite examples is out in the desert southwest of America and northern Mexico. There are these lava eruptions, these lava fields that have formed, and they form these black rock piles. And there's mice that live out in those fields, and reptiles, and there's insects. And you'll see, if you go out there, that you'll find dark colored animals on those dark rocks, dark grasshoppers, dark snakes, dark mice, and you'll find lighter versions of them off the rocks. You say, well, what's going on there? Well, they don't know whether they're dark or light. What's happening is the predators are determining the distribution of those creatures. Yeah. So when you have a color mismatch, they're picked off by the predator. But those lava formations are relatively young, geologically speaking, maybe a few centuries. So in the course of a few centuries, the whole population can change from light color to a dark color and live on those rocks. So to get back to your point, the agent there, in the case I'm giving you an example of what natural selection is, and that's very clearly selecting for color match against your background. And the background can change with something like a lava flow or whatever it might be. But in decades to centuries, the whole population can change.